Ladies and gentlemen, our fourth presentation, our final one for the day, just before lunch. So you get the unenviable position of being the pre-lunch speaker. Don't worry, we'll lock the doors. Mr. Muskie Harris will be talking about Razorbacks and integration and unity. Muskie Harris is a fourth-generation Little Rockian who has worked in this community and has given his life to many causes and organizations. He was a four-year letterman in football at the University of Arkansas. He was the first black man to attend the U of A from Little Rock Central High on an athletic scholarship. After years of working in the real estate business, he opened his own real estate company, JM Realty. He became the first black candidate to be a nominee for lieutenant governor in 1990. He was the first black member of the University of Arkansas Alumni Board of Directors. He was the first black member of the Little Rock Chamber of Commerce Ambassador Organization. He served 3 terms on the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame Board of Directors. What, once was not enough? Okay. He is currently court liaison for local rehab facilities, is the owner of Muskie Harris Recovery Service, a 501c3 nonprofit that aids in drug and alcohol addiction recovery. And, adding to his previous list of honors, he is a recent appointee of Governor Sanders to the Black History Commission of Arkansas, of which I have the honor to serve as secretary, so I'm going to get to know him better in months to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Muskie Harris. Over to you, sir.
All right, y'all ready for this show? Thank you, Dr. Ware, and I'm honored that the governor offered me that opportunity to help continue preserving our history and being a part of history, that I get a chance to bring our history forward. But I want to tell you about myself first. I was born and raised here in Little Rock. I'm the middle child of 7 children. And I can see how my life kind of went another direction, because the first 10 years of my life, I thought my name was Kenny did it. Because my dad went to Whiplash University and he mastered on me. So at 10 years old, I found the Mark Porter Field and I never came home. And that opened that door of athletics. And talking about integration, we're the generation that the social responsibility door opened. We're that generation that door opened, that our history would be the same. You might be a different culture, but you got the same history. And now you're the beginning of that history. When I arrived at Fayetteville in 1973, there was only 4 blacks on the team. And I knew that was a huge opportunity. But we're going to stay on our side, because as I was telling my friend Adrian here and Ryan, I get emotional. So, you know, if you don't get yourself organized here, you'll be all over the place. And I'm on the steps of Little Rock Central High here, as being the first African American to go from Little Rock Central High to the University of Arkansas. Let's go to the next one. And I'm experimenting with high tech. Y'all looking at this is my first PowerPoint.
Sorry.
And it fumbled.
There we go.
Here we go. My graphic man kind of put some pictures together behind my early childhood of saying that Woodruff Elementary is the first time I played football, and it was flag football. Flag football. I mean, you know, that's big time in Little Rock School District, had flag football, and we won the city championship in flag football. Let's go to the next one here. Well, let me tell you about flag football. Flag football, you know, you just practice, only 6 men. Now I'm in the 7th grade at Pulaski Heights, and it's tackle and it's helmets. And we would practice one way, this way. Well, when the game started, we turned around, we're going this way. I didn't know my left from my right. And my coach, Wood and Jolly, said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, I'm confused. So our school colors was green and gold. So he put a green armband on my right hand and put a gold one on my left. And green was odd and gold was even. And that's how I learned how to play football. I knew from the colors I was going to go right and I was going to go left. Next one. Now I'm over at Little Rock Central High, and my coaches, Joe Fred Young and Bernie Cox, and we had some difficult times. I left Pulaski Heights, Unity, City Championship, come to Central, and the integration was cloudy, and we didn't have unity. And you know, if you don't have unity in a team sport, you're not going anywhere. And believe it or not, my 10th grade year, we put the worst record on Little Rock Central High had ever had. Yeah, we won 2 games. They had never not won at least 8 or 9. And I still had that desire, you know, regardless of, I hit that championship and I wanted another one. And I wanted, so I kept playing and I kept playing, and I was noticed by talent. Now, I wasn't the star on the team. The other guy, Will Robinson, was the star on the team, but that also opened up a door for me too, because everybody's trying to go get him. They didn't even know I was just as talented. So here I go, and then they found out it's 2 of them. So that did help a little bit, but also opened that door for the University of Arkansas to come and offer me a scholarship. Now, in the beginning of integration, we were not recruited. We were selected. Recruiting didn't start until we had enough black athletes on the team that they could relate to and we could recruit others. But in the beginning, as being selected, in the town meetings we had around town, even my first door behind of what my future would be was going to the Razorback Letterman's Club, and Coach Rawls, Coach Matthews, and businessmen around town. We were being interviewed, but what we were being interviewed for was our morals, principle, character. Because if you notice the integration in sports, 1940 you had Jackie Robinson out of UCLA, Ernie Banks, and Jim Brown to the north in the 50s. But the South, until 1968, and there was no African American playing we were in the Southwest Conference, and there was a SEC. But until 1968, there was not a black playing football in the South. So you have to put yourself back in our perspective. Here I'm a 17-year-old guy making this opportunity and seeing this opportunity, and some of the bigger guys out at Lamar Porter Field, Tommy Trantham, I knew of him, and he was a Razorback, and I knew what that opportunity meant and how it would change your life. Now, there's a lot more to it that we don't have a lot of time to go into, but this was an opportunity. I played with 600 guys here in Little Rock, Pulaski County, and only 2 of us got the scholarship. Bruce Mitchell, the late Bruce Mitchell, my roommate, died of leukemia in our junior year, and me. And I wasn't coming back home without being successful. I'm just letting you know. I was a totally different athlete underneath that helmet, but also I had responsibility of coming back home because there was friction and cultural. Now, the Black Americans was mad that I went up there. Hey, you should go down to UAPB. And I come from Thessalonian, Juanita Harris. They run my show. No one on the outside. And Coach Matthews is the legendary most winningest coach in Arkansas. And you ever heard of the Rawls Matthews Award? He's the man with Coach Rawls on that board because he helped build that foundation of knowing if we integrate our team, we could be a lot better. And also, I had a meeting with him every month. And I was supposed to bring him back. Okay, let me go back to a little story. When they was recruiting him, and they came to the house, my mother said, hey, sit down and eat. And he said, yeah. And he said, what are you having? Well, we were having neck bones. Anybody ever heard of neck bones? Ever eaten neck bones? Well, we had neck bones, potatoes, and corn. And cornbread, and the best drink in the world is Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid was number one. Coke wasn't around. I mean, it was around, but in our house, we couldn't afford it. It's easy to make a 5-gallon bunch of Kool-Aid instead of trying to go buy 6-pack of Coke. So, from once I got to Fayetteville, every month, I had to meet with him, and I had to bring him a pot of neck bones. But also, what that communication and fellowship was doing, it allowed me to tell the coach what we needed. Because, like I said, the system was really afraid because the reason they selected certain athletes, they didn't want to have to market a bad athlete. That was the biggest fear. Man, they're coming into they're going to be a part of us. And so that's what that fear was, that we were going to mess this up, because integration in football wasn't a great experiment. It was reality, and it's happening. And either you're going to get with it or you're going to get left behind. And Coach Matthews used me to get other athletes to come up there, and in our 5-year period, and Coach Ross told us, people only going to remember 2 games that you play. Your first and your last. Come in winning and go out winning. Well, the first game I played in was in the LA Coliseum. And that was something else. It was about a half a mile walk from the locker room to the field. I said, should we catch a bus? But that was, it wasn't intimidating, but it was huge. And we got beat by one man named Lynn Swan, which y'all may not have heard, but Pittsburgh Steelers, NFL All-Pro. And he beat us by himself with 2 punt returns and 1 long pass. And then we come back to Little Rock. My first game in Little Rock, oh man, we played Oklahoma State. And it's the worst football game of our life too. And 2 minutes and 30 seconds had ran off the clock, and we were 21 points behind. And we had the ball 3 times. The first time he got the ball, he snapped it on the punter's head. Touchdown. All right. We go in, 3 out, snap it out, snap the ball over the punter's head. There it goes, another touchdown. So Coach Ross said, get him out of there, put another center in there. And put another center in there, boom, same thing happened. The linebacker from the other side, at that time, I mean, football was still violent, but that time you could do a lot of hell raising out there. He was coming across their head with his forearm. Ooh. And they were more worried about that forearm hitting them than snapping the ball right. But we got beat, and we learned from that. And that was my last time on offense. And college football is business. If you don't understand that, I'm going to tell you an incident. And it's not an incident, but it's the reality. The first meeting we had with Coach Rawls and Coach Matthews, he said, gentlemen, you're ICs, and if you don't become RGs, he pointed to the door and he walked out the room and turned the meeting over to Lon Farrell. And we sitting up there like, what did he just say? IC stands for independent contractor, and RG stands for revenue generator, which means you're an athlete, and if you're not productive on the field, your scholarship and you are gone. And the coaches that I had Coach Broyles first, Jimmy Johnson, and Pete Carroll, and Lou Holtz came in my senior year. And Lou Holtz come in this room, little old bitty man, and y'all see Coach Holtz. And first thing he tried to do was run our tail off. He wanted the whole new team, so I'm going to get rid of these seniors. We looked at him and said, man, we don't have a ring. It's 12 of them, the 5th-year seniors. And I said, no, we ain't going nowhere. So he said, okay, let's win the national championship. Man, what a great year we had. Only person ran over us was Mr. Earl Campbell, which everybody heard. But Yeager, I got to go back to a point that you said on your play. I played on Kavanaugh Field. That's the field in between Quigley Stadium and Central High. That's Kavanaugh Field. And it used to be, now it's the Buddy Coleman Baseball Park. I just want to let you know where Kavanaugh Field, you knew where it was too, didn't you?
Kind of, but not exactly.
Yeah, that was Kavanaugh Field. But our unity, and that's why I was wanting to tell you about the Orange Bowl game turned this state into unity. We became unified that night because I know all y'all really didn't believe that we were going to kick Oklahoma's butt like we did. I know y'all did. Y'all was just hoping we wasn't going to get slaughtered. Well, it was the first time that some of the white guys on the team felt integration. We're down in Miami, couldn't speak no Spanish because it's a big Cuban community, and they thought we were from Australia. We said, no, we're in America. It's Arkansas. We're just only about 18-hour drive from you, but it's America. Well, y'all gonna get killed. Y'all gonna get killed. Well, we had an itinerary set. We're down in the Orange Bowl. We're gonna go to the amusement park. We're gonna see Nemo, and we're gonna do this. Well, sorry. The minute we got there, we had a team meeting. Coach Broad stood up and told us, said, NBC don't think this game is going to draw. They want to show a 4-hour Grizzly Adams in our spot and just show the Orange Bowl regional. Seriously. Seriously, they thought that this was going to be a slaughter, and they didn't want to have this 4-hour TV time on the slaughter. And he said, how many of y'all want to play? We stuck our hand up and said, yeah. And he left on out the room, turns back Coach Holtz. Coach Holtz came up, and so here's the itinerary that we all had. He tore it up. What we did, we practiced in full pads 4 days in a row. We were so angry, I don't care who was on the other side. We were going to kill you. We were not leaving this place without winning. And like I was telling you, our unity was so strong. You couldn't break our unity. And after the game, talking with the Oklahoma players at the victory party, they said, our coach lied to us. Y'all were better. We didn't want to come back out of halftime. Because you saw what happened at halftime. If it wasn't for the referee giving a 45-yard penalty, they never would have scored. Because how can a defensive back have holding on an offensive lineman 20 yards downfield? Think about that. That's a made-up penalty. But we wanted to come back home and show the state how proud we were to wear that helmet. And I wear that Razorback proudly because a black man couldn't wear it. I'm from that era where a black man could not wear it. My uncle was a great football player. He was on the last football team at Philander Smith with Elijah Pitts. They couldn't be a Razorback. Go over to Central High. I mean, I'm in junior high and I'm watching athletes over at Central High. They wasn't offered that scholarship to go play Razorback. Here I get an opportunity to make a change. To be a part of a change. And we won. And that killed that we don't need to be together. We knew how important it was to win and come back home. And then I knew my shoes were different because I represent Little Rock Central, the international school in the state, most recognized high school worldwide. And I was not coming back home without being successful on that field. And now I am degreed. I promised my mother, and I got that degree. So I'm on the wall and the walk. And if you go to Fayetteville, only way that you know that you were ever up there, your name is on the wall. And if you're on a winning team, only winning teams go on the wall. So I knew I was going to be coming back home, bringing some opportunities that I could help others with. And that opportunity, being a Razorback, you're a lifetime ambassador. Whether you want to take it or not, you are an ambassador now. So these last 50 years, I've been selling myself, and like I say, can't nobody say yourself better than you. Can't nobody say yourself better than you. And I'm proud of my history and trying to pass that history down to the next generation. And we got major internet to do, but if you don't have a foundation, you got to have a foundation. And now they're trying to bring us back as ex-athletes to help rebuild the foundation, because now, check this out, the young athletes now are independent contractors. And if they don't become a revenue generator, they're going to get in the portal and go get another $1 million from somebody else. That's how life works now. It's all about business. And being that ambassador, I've been able to be in other opportunities of other businesses, other areas of the state, even had the opportunity to run for governor. Me and Sheffield Nelson against Bill Clinton and Jim Guy Tucker. And I won. Now I got the hell beat out of me in the end, but I got a chance to sell myself all over the state. Because like I said, you're an ambassador. You're not black. I go in areas where there's no black culturally. They don't look at me and, man, there's a Razorback. Because you earned that title, remember? You earned that. That was not given to you. And that's what I try to articulate to the young men now, that making that sacrifice, your future will be brighter, but now they're from all over the place, and so we now try to sell them on our history and preserving and holding our history. And I'm so excited that I get to work with Dr. Ware and Brian here, that we would be able to do more PowerPoints and bring more athletes in, that we could utilize this and spread this so the new generation coming in can see our history footprint, because a lot of the schools, like even the University of Arkansas, they have removed all the trophies. Seriously. There's no trophy case in the Broyles complex. And that's an issue, because a person needs to see how far we have grown and the unity that we have represent now. And I really want to open up the floor to some questions y'all might have about me or other teams or coaches.
Why did they remove the trophies?
Somebody said something.
Why did they remove the trophies?
Why did I what?
Why did they remove the trophies?
Oh, why they removed the trophies? Well, that's called a bad, egotistical athletic director named Jeff Long that crossed into our life. I'm just telling you, I'm glad it's recorded. I have, hey, he can come and approach me all he wants to. I know he's the worst thing that ever happened to the University of Arkansas. And look at our last 10 years. Y'all mad too? We're not used to losing. Yeah.
What do you think about NIL and as far as opportunity and health problems?
Oh, I love it. It's just working itself out that really in college football is going to be the duplicate of NFL. Remember, NFL are all independent contractors, and hey, they trade you. And loyalty was removed out of the game when New York sold Babe Ruth to Boston. There's no loyalty. And who are you to tell how much my body is worth? Because football's still a violent game. I just got 2 new knees. I'm like 6-year-old. I haven't been able to run in 20 years. Yes.
Do you think that if that Holtz and Orange Bowl had not been successful as it was, do you think things would have turned out or taken longer to the unity to occur?
That was disaster waiting. That was disaster waiting. I mean, that's what that side that was waiting for us to fail in integration, and here's now another racial situation, because Coach Holtz kicked off 3 guys that really did, and we were all praying because we know they did it. And it was disaster, man. If we didn't win, all I could see was negative that would follow us the rest of our life. That, yeah, just like they said, y'all, you got beat. Yeah, it was disaster waiting. Yeah. I mean, you know, as an author, that you can write a bad book, and then you write a book you didn't think was good, you go, what? Oh man, because I put negative in there. And remember John Robert Starr? Anybody remember the late editor John Robert Starr? He told me, he said, Harris, dirt sells by the inch, not by the pound. You know, newspaper in the inch, and the same money that you used to buy for a newspaper ad, you can buy a dump truckload of dirt. So dirt sells by the inch, and then people only want to read dirt. If you do something good, it's in the obituary section or in the food section. Now do something bad, you on color, and they got a picture of you looking like, you know, where did they get that picture from? They can make you look bad. Someone had it on over here. Okay.
I have a question for you. Even in when did you go to the University of Arkansas?
You talk a little louder.
When did you go to the University of Arkansas?
I was there from 1973 to 78.
Was there still racial, because I'm not from Arkansas originally, was there still racial tensions at the university?
Not on the football team.
Not on football.
I mean, we had one locker room, we lived in one dorm. Now, some of the players didn't like each other, but that was like personal issue. But once you put that helmet on, that's your teammate. And what we did on the field opened up the rest of the sports. You know, right behind us, Marvin Deff and Ron Brewer was on the basketball team that Sydney came, so basketball was there with Eddie Sutton, but we were pretty good in basketball also with the Terry brothers, Martin Terry and Dean Tolson, and Coach Eddie Sutton. And baseball, they had to use our lights to light up the field in the cow pasture. Yeah, the baseball team had played in the cow pasture, and if the game went to dark, they call all the athletes that had cars, line them up and turn your lights on. Brian, okay, you got to know.
Yeah, I'm not from Arkansas originally.
I love selling it.
What position did you play?
I went up as a running back, and then holy cow, Jimmy Johnson said, Muskie, Coach Broad's going to get rid of the wishbone, he's going to go to the eye. So that means it's going to be Dickie Morgan right and left. He said, if you can come over defense, you'll play. I never hit anybody in my life. I was used to running. And now, I've got Dennis Winston and Bryson Manor, and Billy Burns and Danny Rowe teaching me how to tackle. I went crazy. Do you know what it's like to hit somebody? Did you see that picture up there that I'm knocking that guy's ass off? Now, I got my ass knocked off too, because that's a very violent game, but that lick right there, they never touched me. They never touched me, and I was okay. My life, everybody go, how many touchdowns do you score? 1. How many interceptions you get? 1. I said, my life is wrapped around Steve Little. Steve Little was our kicker. And have you ever seen a kicker go down and make a tackle? On a punt or a kickoff? You're not going to see that happen. That ain't his job. That's the 3 headhunters over here. Me, Barnabas White, and Elijah Davis. And Steve Little averaged 44-yard punt. In my 5 years at the University of Arkansas, we had 3 kickoff returns returned against us. 3. And, you know, he was first round draft pick St. Louis Cardinals as the punter and kicker. And Coach Broyles knew you better have a defense to stop someone. And our game plan was to kick off, make them start on the 20-yard line, stop them, make them punt the ball. And then if we get the ball, if we got the ball on our 40, all we need is 1 first down, boom, Steve Little's going to kick for 3. And getting trained, I'm glad you asked me that question. I got changed over, but I never left offense. I still had an offensive book because I was the 5th running back. If you're on the road and everybody get hurt, you better have some utilities to go in. So I carried 2 books, and then my job became the utility man, which is a very beautiful job to hold as a team because my teammate know me and knowing that I could start, but I'm better off if they're using me on both sides and then all the kicking game. But yeah, that was great getting on the defense. Oh my God. Now I got my head knocked off too. Thank y'all for allowing me to share my story.